A starfish outbreak is threatening to destroy Penghu's beautiful coral reefs. This year, the number of crown-of-thorns starfish exploded, so much so that the population is already up to 20 times bigger than the threshold for the amount of living corals to stay constant. To save the corals, local volunteers are taking to removing the starfish one by one underwater. However, local government officials say there has to be a long-term solution. Our weekly special report.
This is Penghu's southernmost island of Chimay. Following in the footsteps of local snorkeling coaches, we're at Yueli Bay. It's also the earliest port for local fishermen. The waters here are quite calm, attributable to the inward crescent-shaped curvature of the bay. It's also the only water recreation zone on Chimay.
This is the Warnio area of Yueli Bay. Usually when we do tours, we enter the waters from here. This is also where you can find our most beautiful purple corals, which we call the lavender corals.
The purple staghorn coral fields are popularly referred to as lavender forest and attract numerous visitors to snorkel every year. According to the Taiwanese Coral Reef Society, the area boasts a healthy coral coverage rate of 70.5%. However, starting from May this year, an organism with multiple arms and completely covered in spines is threatening the area's coral population. The coaches are ready with full diving gear, tongs, and carriers to capture the unwanted creatures.
In the past, we would only see single digits of them, but this year we've already caught 56.
They're removing the crown-of-thorns starfish hiding in the reefs. The crown-of-thorns starfish preys on live corals and could even kill entire colonies.
The starfish we normally speak of has 5 legs, but the crown-of-thorns starfish's number of legs is way more than that. Its legs are covered in many sharp spines which are filled with toxin glands, so when a human or organism comes into contact with it, that could result in great harm.
Someone had their whole finger sore for 3 months and really swollen. Another one of my colleagues got 3 fingers stung. In his case, he still felt a throbbing pain after a year and a half. So it's a protein neurotoxin that stays inside.
The crown-of-thorns starfish has always existed off Chimay, so why are people hunting them all of a sudden now?
If their population suddenly explodes and they produce very quickly, if there's an outbreak, they would quickly devour the corals and may even wipe out corals.
Zhang Dengkai has done water sports for over 18 years, and he often gives snorkeling tours for visitors to admire the corals. He didn't know much about the crown-of-thorns starfish, except that they were venomous. But now he's forced to acknowledge their existence because there are simply so many.
These crown-of-thorns starfish were caught in May and June this year by volunteer divers. Look, they've caught so many, an entire bucket full of crown-of-thorns starfish.
The head of Chimay Township, Lü Qijun, says it's snorkel operators that first discovered the outbreak. After calculations, it's estimated that there are almost 250 starfish per hectare. We're above the 10 to 15 threshold for the coral population to stay sustainable.
The entire Yueli Bay area, from the offshore to the open sea, is covered in coral. That's why we're worried about the crown-of-thorns starfish. They release spawns in the billions, which is terrifying. That's why we're concerned. If the crown-of-thorns starfish grows and matures, it could cause a lot of damage to our coral. That is why many of us are concerned, because the coral under the sea in Chimay are the most beautiful.
The high density of starfish at the bottom of the sea is a terrifying sight to behold. This was taken off Pratas Island, the area with the highest crown-of-thorns starfish population under Taiwan's administration. Academia Sinica researcher Zheng Mingxiu recorded this starfish outbreak in April this year.
所以我们看到那个真的很凄惨，你整个被它吃过以后。
What we saw was really bleak. After the crown-of-thorns starfish ravaged the area, the number of fish decreased, and so did the number of invertebrates. It's like a habitat, a forest after a fire. It's basically a coral graveyard, and the biodiversity was just gone. That's why it's so urgent, because it's really frightening. If you're not careful and if you don't remove them, they'll gobble up all the corals. The juvenile starfish were carried over by the currents, so it's really frightening how they're being transported everywhere. They'll settle down anywhere nice.
Zheng had cautioned that the outbreak of Pratas Island would eventually affect the waters around Taiwan, and he was right. Later, another outbreak occurred of Chimay, more than 400 kilometers away. Every year, the starfish can release 200 to 300 million spawns. They are then transported all over by ocean currents. Even if only 1% were to survive, that number would still be in the millions. It takes professional divers to help eradicate the outbreak, but it's an arduous effort. They must spot the starfish with their naked eye underwater, then remove them individually with tongs. Additionally, they can only work during low tide.
We must conduct searches. What's more burdensome now is that the starfish is too scattered, but we must conduct searches. So our association began making plans to get funds for the searches. Every time it costs a whopping 40,000 to 50,000 NT, but it has to be done.
The competent authority for this issue would be the Ocean Conservation Administration, but it's a multi-step process to get approval and financing from the central government. Later on, the tendering process would also take some time. Therefore, Penghu Council County Speaker Chen Yuren forked out 100,000 NT from his own pocket to raise awareness. Other businesses have also pitched in by offering 300 NT for every starfish caught.
There's a lot of bureaucracy. The central government's Ocean Affairs Council and the local Penghu County government are still in talks. Soon after, I thought the issue was simply too urgent that I had to join the volunteers.
We make regular annual donations to National Penghu University of Science and Technology. The university then entrusts local NGOs to help eradicate the crown-of-thorns starfish.
But it's not enough to throw money at eradication. There has to be a long-term monitoring system.
Stretching the chain of islands starting from Hua Islet to Chimay, Xuyuping, Dongyuping Islet, and Dongji Island, or even the entire sea around Penghu, anywhere with coral, we hope that relevant authorities can conduct underwater investigations and long-term monitoring to prevent the issue right from the start.
The crown-of-thorns starfish does have natural predators, the Triton's trumpet and the humphead wrasse. The former is a large sea snail that preys on the mature starfish. The Triton's trumpet is mainly found near coral reefs and feeds on the crown-of-thorns starfish. However, they're quite rarely seen in the wild now. That's because its shell is highly sought after and often made into decorative objects. It's also used as a ceremonial tool in Tibetan Buddhism. Since 2010, Penghu has banned the collection of tritons, but poaching cases are still reported every now and then.
There's one case each last year and the year before. They caught them with fishing net intentionally or not and sold them at the fish market. But actually, some fishers rarely see this thing, so they probably didn't know that the county government had announced banning the collection of tritons.
To make sure the Triton's trumpet doesn't go extinct, the Ministry of Agriculture is also trying to revive the population and conducting research at the Penghu Fishery Research Center, hoping to successfully breed the sea snail.
我们每年都能够掌握它产卵的时间，也能够获知。
We know around when it will lay eggs every year, and we can also get the fertilized eggs and the juvenile sea snails, but we still can't completely figure out what it feeds on in the winter.
Unfortunately, there still isn't a successful breeding program after 14 years. It's because a new feed can only be trialed once a year, and the researchers are still figuring out how to ensure the juveniles successfully mature.
今年有可能它就吃这些极冠海星。
This year, we're giving them crown-of-thorns starfish. Whether that will help the development of reproductive glands, improve the quality of eggs, ensure that juveniles mature and undergo metamorphosis, and help our program succeed, or at least make a breakthrough, it might be possible.
The starfish population only went out of control due to human causes. An increased amount of nutritional salts from wastewater, over-harvesting of natural predators, and rising seawater temperatures due to climate change. All these factors created conditions for the crown-of-thorns starfish to thrive.
这个珊瑚礁对澎湖是很重要的，不管是从
Coral reefs are very important to Penghu, whether for the fishing industry for creating a habitat for fish or for tourism in terms of snorkeling or diving to observe the coral reefs and tropical fish. Therefore, we place great importance on coral reefs and will find ways to bring down the starfish population to a controllable level.
The idea that the starfish is turning Penghu's beautiful coral reefs into a wasteland is terrifying, not just for aesthetic reasons, but also for environmentalism.